At this point, it's futile and naive to believe extreme evil only exists in stories, especially with all the means we have to reveal dark truths, not to mention the ability for virtually anyone to create them. Feels as though a lot has been falling apart more and more. I find myself wondering, has it always been this awful? And now the curtains are being drawn back, the layers of disguise peeled away to witness all that is festering? Or has it become exponentially worse due to a rotten development? The sessions of ruminating on the zeitgeist as of late end with, it's probably both. Although I would have to say, Scrits frogged. Most of the time I don't allow myself to get too deep into it, meaning letting myself drown in the emotion of it all, especially when I'm wiped out, blasted, exhausted. And I have trained my mind over the years, decades, to see a light in the darkness and do my best to figure out how to make that light grow. Although the air and atmosphere is heavy and pungent, crushing my soul, I know I'm not the only one. It feels a struggle to get up again mentally and physically. Of course I'll do it, get up and keep going. However, I cannot say it is done with ease. This is a challenge to this day with new and developing circumstances all the time. We're only mammalian after all. At least I'm pretty sure anyway. And I would also like to underline that this is time to stand up. I'm noticing more people waking up, finally. Too bad it had to get this bad again. You've heard the phrase of history repeating itself? Yes. And the way to overcome this is taking action. Again. It is not impossible.
Sleepy time is over.
Welcome to the first episode of this year's Sketchbook series.
Don't be spooked. I won't eat you.
Brought to you by
Diazzi.
I ran a poll on socials to choose between an okapi eating a veggie sandwich and stew or a giraffe eating fruit salad. It was close, but okapi reigned supreme here. She's the star of the show. Usually I don't do this. I was never a big fan of photographic references, which may seem foolish. Okay. I prefer to look at something in front of me. Most of the time I'm drawing from memory and or imagination. At first I was confused about this okapi and thought it was one being. Turns out there's a young one nursing. Yes, this is a children's book, by the way. It's all they had in my county's library catalog. I'm all for supporting the library and diving into books. Not face first into snow, though. It's been snowier this year than in the past years I've settled in the Hudson Valley. It's the first year I can recall finding an appreciation for the winter, too. It's pretty here north. Growing up in New York City, the snow in the city was mostly disgusting and troublesome, especially for someone who would get around by foot in public transit everywhere, which was a lot of people. And it was cold. Oh, it was cold. Cold and convenient, and ended up looking pretty ugly everywhere around us. I mean, car exhaust and urine stained piles of snow, garbage covered in snow, like the garbage bags, the classic New York City ones. New York City garbage.
New York City garbage juice.
An occasional colossal fecal mound, suspect of being bipedal construct, not the common canine. I don't blame 5B city New Yorkers not liking the wintertime. It makes sense. Introduce me to someone who hasn't ended up in a puddle of slush on the way to somewhere important, to wherever important place they're going. I enjoy observing everyday life and creating a collection in my mind. Almost all the time I'm relying solely on my imagination. My art sessions are like this these days. Unless I must portray something somewhat accurately to make it make sense, something I'm not very familiar with, or not familiar with at all, like today. Been trying to communicate more efficiently. Otherwise, I want it to come from my brain's interpretation and message from the soul. Anything else feels like a copy machine or an echo chamber. It's not my cup of tea. This time I went to the library to pick up some giraffe books for visual reference. Let's be realistic. Am I going to encounter these beings in the Catskill Mountains in New York?
No.
And I'm not going to a zoo. Zoos are intensely controversial in my eyes. There's some good, but mostly bad as far as I know anyway. Enlighten me, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. I don't think so. Not on this one, guys. To explain how rare okapis are, I could only find a children's book on them, which is fine to work with to get a gist of the creature visually. I just wish there was more information about this intriguing creature easily accessible. I suppose it's meant to be this way. There are times when our questions just don't get answered. Gotta learn to be okay with that.
And now for the watercolor. And now for the watercolor.
Giraffe and okapi are basically cousins. They are the only two living members of the Giraffidae family, and frog damn it, the okapi is endangered. Okapi are a fascinating study. They are considered a living fossil. Through genetic study, the common giraffid ancestor lived close to 12 million years ago. As you can see, these friends here are more humanoid than their mothers and fathers, or ancestors if you will. Although, is this noticeable right away, or does it take a few moments of studying the image to identify? I have not realized how this came to be yet, but here it is. The giraffids are enormous and possess human features, mostly in the arms, and we can understand them. Us, not the humans in the drawing though. They are able to speak to each other, the giraffe and the okapi, and although we can understand what they're saying, the little humans in the background cannot. And we can't really understand what the humans are saying, as we're seeing things from the giraffid's perspective. It is clear that the peeps are yipping in fright though. Although my son and partner both asked if they were doing the boogie in the background. Afraid they'll be eaten, while the giraffe curiously asks about the logic of eating animal flesh in the first place. Quickly changes the topic to something more pleasant. If they like oranges by any chance. It looks as though Okapi is reaching out to possibly grab the humans, pluck them out of there, while she's trying to direct them to the sweet giraffe to share fruits while she enjoys her plant sandwich and soup all to her queenly self. I'm no giraffe or okapi expert, of course, though I did learn some interesting information you may enjoy as well. Both sexes of giraffe have horns. The okapi females do not have horns, while the males do. Okapis are quite endangered. They are endemic to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and ultimately the only country they still live in the wild. And it is not the leopard who is wiping them out. Can you guess what animal it is? Although giraffes are not endangered, they are close to it. They are threatened. Unlike okapis, though, they live in several countries, like Ethiopia, Uganda, Zambia, and more. Giraffes are quite social, and at night they will hum to each other. How precious and lovely is that? Etymology is always interesting. An archaic English name for giraffe was camelopard. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Camelopard? Camelopard. Deriving from a mix of ancient Greek words for camel and leopard because of the giraffe's shape and pattern. Speaking of patterns, giraffes branch out to a few species. Depending on their species or subspecies, their patterns will vary. Okapi have zebra-like stripes on their leg. Okapi's nickname include forest giraffe, zebra giraffe, and Congolese giraffe. Am I saying that right? Okapi. Natives of Congo would call them atti. Only giraffes and okapi share the scientific classification family of Giraffidae. Both of these mammals are pretty much herbivores, strictly herbivores. Okapis feast on shrubs and lianas. They also enjoy woody plants, grasses, fruits, and mushrooms. They have a vast plant diet and a great impact on the environment, more than just providing carbon monoxide to the trees. There is over 300,000 plus plants humans have discovered across the earth. However, giraffes have been observed to chew on bones. The animal kingdom is a crazy place. Falling in love with the world is irresistible. How could it not be? Nadal tu jesteś, niesamowite. Daj mi chwilę, aby dać Ci znać, że mam również stronę internetową, na której możesz znaleźć teksty, więcej sztuki i moje oryginalne obrazy na sprzedaż. Chcesz zrobić coś niezwykłego? Co powiesz na wsparcie prawdziwej, żywej artystki? Serdecznie pozdrawiam i wracam do nieregularnego programowania. My son came over to look at the drawing again and asked if they're not dancing, then what are they doing? They're scared of the other animals. He laughed and asked why they would be scared of a giraffe who is so sweet. And I could only wish that other animals could look at us this way and truly not be threatened by us. But that's not what big baby money grub overlord wants. This overlord wants to indulge in exploitation of all animals, in fact all that is alive. As far as okapi go, they may as well be holy. They are endangered like the last two brain cells I have barely holding on to each other as I discover more and more the heinous audacity of many a humankind. Don't get me wrong. I know there are areas I could be better and try to be aware of this and work on it. Areas where I could be improving as an individual. It's just, these days I have been learning more frequently about the possibilities that greed and desire for manipulation drives people to do. It hits me like a ball of scrit to the face, because I wonder, how is this even possible? Where do these ideas come from? And then why is this disgusting use of imagination wasted on perversion and destruction? It's like lying. Of course, lying goes hand in hand with stupidity, and so perhaps I should not be surprised that one who is a liar does not come to think.
What if I used my creativity to write stories, for example, while practicing authenticity in my everyday life and relationships?
Some may have a chance to be saved, but for the most part, I suppose, there is no good if there is no evil. Of course, it's not all black and white, there's neutral too, but you cannot have one or the other if you have no grounds for comparison to identify anything as such. Let it be clear, I am no actor, so my bad if this is cringe to hell. Suddenly things in this animal scene change. All of a sudden the atmosphere feels stuffy yet exposed.
That cow over there is starting to look like a roast on a spike.
Very compassionate.
What?
Oh, I want to sit.
Dan weet je dat ze je schaamheid zegt, maar dan heel erg smooth. Maar daarom hier beleid some later,
Human says?
Okay, now settle down. I'm pretty sure we're hearing each other's thoughts.
Things we would never say to each other and they're just coming out.
Thinks the okapi.
Wow, these animals smell pretty bad. Must be their diet.
We're small brains, abundant with creativity.
Do you like oranges though?
Explains a lot, all those interspecies secretions, guzzling sessions.
Okapi's eyes go wide.
This is rather disturbing.
You meant to say disgusting, better yet, perverted.
Said the okapi.
Milk make man grow big, strong.
And would.
Get the frog out. You don't really believe that, do you? Would you like an orange?
The giraffe says to the humans who cannot understand when no thought reading entails.
Not this diet preaching again. Shut up, just shut up.
Stop thinking? Should be easy for cattle, so
Just stop thinking. We can hear each other's thoughts.
jeez.
It's chill. We're
Herbivores, fellow mammal.
Try to use your noodle. Might not feel so cooked. Is that what the kids say these days? Yaldalulu.
Let's think nice things about each other, please. This makes no sense. It's funny, but not conducive to progress.
Yaldalulu.
Says the okapi, which everyone seems to understand just fine.
Yaldalulu.
The child runs in circles, screaming in fear.
Yaldalulu.
Okapi watches giraffe offer the mammals sweet, fresh fruit. The fruit is colorful, nutritious, delicious. Everyone is sharing.
Yaldalulu.
Did you eat today? Have you had any fruit today? What was the last fruit you ate, and what is the next one you want to try? Drop a comment, it would be awesome to know. The sketchbook prompt for the scene I ran a poll. I know you know, I know you know. It was between giraffe eating fruit salad and okapi eating a veggie sandwich and soup. Although one social media had giraffe win by a hair, this other social, it was all for okapi, though I decided to incorporate both with okapi in the forefront. I may not do this in the future, but if you want to participate, just come on down and participate. Thank you for spending time with me today. My hope is this video brought you something good for the mind and soul. And if you enjoyed it, be sure to take part in the next poll I'll be running for episode 2 of Don't Be Spooked, I Won't Eat You. You can take the poll on YouTube or Instagram during this time for now. In the future, I may only be posting it on here, YouTube. I look forward to receiving your responses. Here's a cue for you to dip, I suppose. Like, subscribe, comment, and help this channel thrive. It's just me. Maybe buy some art sometime too. It doesn't have to be mine, but that would be cool. May you find goodness in your day. Do widzenia. Appreciate you.